things. So the end of the semester is upon us, and it kind of snuck up on me, especially since it's finals, or almost the week before finals week at my two other schools. So I sort of thought we had all the time in the world, and we don't. So stuff has been fairly-ish light so far for us. We started reading into critical race theory a little bit with theories and constructs of race. And before I mentioned we were going to have two smaller papers. One was going to look at implicit bias with race, and one was going to give you guys an option to study and research something. And I realized there's just not enough time for constructive research now. So we're just going to do one paper, and there is going to be a portion of it that allows you guys to look at something going on in current events and see the role that implicit bias is playing in that. The prompt sheet is going to be up on Thursday, and I'll have a little mini lecture talking through it. But what you can expect is that it's going to be a synthesis paper. So we're going to start reading American-born Chinese this week, and so it's looking using our what we learned about rhetorical fallacies, which, by the way, I've been loving how many people are sending me links. Some people have sent me links to Twitter wars that they're in, or of course the fantastic moment of rhetorical fallacy history last week with the whole shooting Clorox into your veins, direct sunlight, etc. from President Trump. Anyways, we're going to be looking at that and reflecting on how those fallacies, especially from racist fallacies, come into play in American-born Chinese. And so we're going to integrate those two things, but also use some chapters from a cognitive science text called Blind Spot, which I've been hyping up for a little bit. We're not going to read the whole thing, but I'm going to post a couple chapters. So what I just wanted to do for today, instead of a full-on lesson, just talk through what the rest of the semester is going to look like. So if you go to our modules page, all of our next couple weeks are up there. I didn't post finals week, so I need to do that. But we have 3 weeks, which is actually a perfect time to finish this unit, which of course I would love more time to do it, but whatever. And submit a final paper, which will be at the very, very end of the semester, which I think is the Wednesday. So our final quote unquote is supposed to be Tuesday, and we're not going to have it Tuesday. We're gonna have that on Wednesday. So what we're looking at this week, we're going to start American-born Chinese, and it is a graphic novel. And so graphic novels are comic books, but extended. And then really the difference between them and a comic book, it uses all the same tropes, of a comic book. By the way, this was the best PDF I could find. It's not perfect, and it's a little hard to read, but you can make it full screen. And so I was trying to find something free because I can't slice out each page of mine and scan it. I don't have a front load scanner. But typically what makes a graphic novel different from comics is that it is longer. First of all, this is 233 pages. But keep in mind, those 233 pages are comic strips. And so this is technically 2 pages, what we're looking at right now. Oh, my thing freezes. Okay. And so this is a page. So it's easier to go through, but you do have that added element of visual rhetoric that comes into it, which will be kind of interesting. And the other reason that graphic novels are different from comics is that graphic novels deal with heavier topics. And so our graphic novel is dealing with racism, but not even just racism, but microaggressions and those moments of implicit bias coming through. It's not like we're seeing full-on hate crimes in here. It's an Asian American kid, Chinese American kid who's going to school. So something very, very relatable. But what's fascinating about this is that the author brings in just tons and tons of stereotypes. There's a whole part we'll get to next week where he creates this character that's just this distillation of every horrible Chinese stereotype that Americans have. And it's when reading through it, it's almost a little bit offensive. And then you have to recognize, what is he doing with this? Why is he presenting these moments of incredible discomfort to us? And so I'm excited to see what you guys pull out of this. I think we'll talk. I'm going to have a short little lecture on graphic novels more on Thursday. This is going to take the place of our lesson today. where were we? So I'm posting also just this really small end of semester schedule so that you guys know what reading is coming up. And so most of the time it's just going to be American Born Chinese. Again, if you see like 84 pages, remember that this is a page. And so 80 pages of a graphic novel is like reading maybe 30 pages, maybe not even of a regular text. So we're going to continue having DEJs for those until we get to the week before finals. We're going to start integrating next week some chapters from Blind Spot, which I really love. And so it'll be fun for us to start integrating some of that science of just like, how do we create bias? Like, how does this happen with us? And for me, just personally and professionally, that's been the biggest game changer, especially because I am a white person. It's been a game changer for me to recognize how my brain processes difference and uses information within those schemas to create an imperfect picture. And even acknowledging it helps you develop patterns and habits to not dive straight into those stereotypes, or to recognize like, oh, wow, my brain went there. I don't believe that thing's true, but my brain went there. Clearly, I haven't read enough narratives by, let's say, people of Filipino descent, if there's something that popped up where I went instead to a stereotype. So it's been profound for me personally, and I am again excited to see what you guys do with this. So once a week we're going to have a writing lab. Those writing labs are usually going to be a response to Blind Spot, and those will be due on Sundays instead of having something you guys do every 2 days. We're just going to have the reading be something consistent. So our paper so not this Thursday, but next Thursday, you'll just have a sentence proposal. So you'll have a week to think about what you want to write about, and that's literally just a sentence so that I can write it off. You're welcome to meet with me instead of that, if you'd like. And then the next week, we're spending most of it on drafting. There will be a small writing lab, but it has to do with your paper, and we'll continue to learn more about, learn the terminology and get used to the kind of research in Blind Spot, because you're going to be integrating into your paper. There'll be a paragraph outline. It's just do, which is just going through, here are the main topics that I think I'm going to cover, and then a quote outline where you put in your quotes. And so there's going to be Google Meet draft meetings. It's kind of redundant. It could be as short as 5 minutes. It could be as long as a half hour. You guys will sign up and we'll pretty much talk through what you have. If you'd like to have a more complete draft by that time to have me look at, you can do so then. So all of that is present here with the exception of Blind Spot, which I need to add, and then our finals week, which we don't have an actual final. We just have this paper. I'm not even planning anything on our last day technically. I'm going to team you guys up with a peer partner just to proofread each other's papers on Tuesday. So you'll just send those to each other and make edits, send it back. This is for like grammar, things like that. And that's pretty much it. But I wanted to give you a little overview of what we are looking at and get excited for Thursday, where we talk a little bit more about the graphic novel genre. I think I may post an optional reading for you guys from Scott McCloud's Understanding Comics that helps us understand sort of how we go about reading, or maybe I'll just summarize it. I don't really know. But what you do have to do this week is the reading, so 1 through 84. And then a DEJ. Where's my DEJ? Oh, it's right there. And a DEJ for that's due by midnight on the 30th, so Thursday night. Again, not a super long reading, so nobody squawk at me.